shy about criticizing world leaders, about criticizing politicians. He's not shy about giving interviewees a hard time when he sees fit. Um, but Tucker Carlson has never found the dictator that he thinks deserves to be asked any tough questions, which, if you've ever thought of Tucker Carlson as a journalist, first of all, really, and secondly, you really shouldn't when you see any of his interviews with dictators, and it seems they know where they're going, which is why Tucker Carlson's show is where dictators love to be interviewed and say what they have to say to a Western audience, knowing that it will go unchallenged and knowing it will reach millions, as every Tucker Carlson episode does. Well, his latest interview was with the president of Iran, and we are going to go through only the Tucker Carlson parts of it. Yeah, if you want to hear what the Iranian president had to say, you can't really hear what he had to say, but you can hear his translator translating what he has to say. You're kind of missing out if you don't listen to it just for the way he pronounces Netanya. Who I thought that was somewhat humorous that he kept repeating. But anyway, enough making fun of people's accents. Daniel, welcome to the Daily Objective. Yeah, I forgot how to do this. It's been a while. I'm Razi Ginsburg. I'm joined by Daniel Kraus. Daniel, your initial thoughts before we go right in to Tucker Carlson's questions in this interview.
Yeah, so the interview is about half an hour long, and I guess technically it's better than the Putin's. How much was it, 2 or 3 hour long interview? But yeah, again, well, technically, this guy, he's a reformist. He's no dictator. He's from the reformist faction of the Islamists, so he's the better guy. So yeah, I mean, I listened to a little bit of sort of like his answers. And it's like listening to any other dictator. Like, what do you expect? Like honesty? What do you like? It's the exact it's the exact type of like BS the pro-Iranian, pro-Palestinian propagandists are like throwing out in the West. So they're exactly playing into that. Of course, blaming everything on Israel and America. Tucker's questions at some point are um, stupid almost. That like basically like somebody who didn't even like doesn't even know anything about this. But yeah, it's not a confrontational interview. Again, those can never be, and he has no desire to be confrontational with him. So this is propaganda. This is anti-American, anti-Israel propaganda. But what else would you expect from Tucker Carlson at this point? And yeah, as you said, he's no journalist. He never was. He was always just a pundit. Uh, he just looks at what other people which nothing necessarily wrong about that since we are doing that. But yeah, this is there is nothing incredible about this that CNN and Fox News need to learn from.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what was the questions that were most striking were the ones that Tucker didn't ask. Even though he had the Iranian president there, you would think even for just for the pretense of being a journalist, he would ask them, but he doesn't need that pretense because his audience loves him for who he is, and that's not a journalist who asks the tough questions unless you're pro-Israel. If you compare this interview to the interview he did with Ted Cruz, the difference is striking. Yeah, at the end of the reality show when I'm hosting, I always ask the panelists, where can people find more from you or anything you want to promote. That's basically what Tucker Carlson's questions were throughout this whole interview. But let's listen to it from the person himself.
Mr. President, thank you very much for doing this. There is a pause, or seems to be a pause, in the war between the United States and Iran. How do you think this will end? How would you like to see it end? The American
So it's all one video, so I don't know if you want to comment on every single one or just stop.
Yeah, we cut out the Iranian president's part, but I did have some stuff that he said that we can talk about. You know what? I don't know if there's enough in there. By the way, the war seems to have been paused. It is pausing. That's what a ceasefire is. So yeah, Tucker, uh, yeah, manages to make even questions that might be somewhat reasonable as an opening question sound stupid in the way he asks them. But yeah, let's continue a little bit.
All right, just stop me when you want.
President Donald Trump has said that the United States bombed your enrichment facilities because the government of Iran refused to give up its nuclear program, and that there can be no peace until Iran does give up that nuclear program. Would you be willing to give up the nuclear program in exchange for peace? So you have, according to news
Wait,
reports,
let's just pause there because even that question, which might seem semi-reasonable, would you be willing to give it in exchange for peace? Give it up. Uh, there was peace. And then these savages took over the country and their officials, and they took over the country and immediately attacked America. That was their first thing. This was not in there, and this was not in there even in places where it would have made a natural follow-up to what the Iranian president said. So there were no questions about this. Not only were there no questions about this, I don't know if this is further along. I don't remember which question this was the answer to, but actually, yeah, the death to America thing was its own question, right? So, okay, let's keep that. That is a gem, as is the answer, which you won't hear now. So you should go hear it from the president himself. But I will repeat his answer, Daniel.
I don't know. This is the same type of like imagine this like applied anywhere else. Him doing interview with Hitler in like 41, right? Like, okay, the Allies have decided to attack you because you invaded Poland. If you stopped invading Poland, if you came back, would you be willing to accept peace? It makes no sense. Like their desire is to wage war. That's the purpose of the nuclear program. Their desire is to wipe out Israel. Their desire is to wipe out America. That's how they came into existence as a regime. And you asking if they want peace, again, it's a sort of what is the purpose of that question besides sort of like spreading whatever propaganda he throws, whatever we haven't started, it was Israel who started, Iran never invaded any other country or any other that, like, the only purpose of this question again is to let him pretty much spread whatever he wants. There is no there is no critical thinking in that question. There is no sort of contextual sort of like understanding of what Iran has been doing. It's pretty much, hey, I have this platform here, come here, say whatever you want. Like, that's it. And that's all it is.
Yeah. By the way, I think it would be a bit more like Candace interviewing Hitler rather than Tucker interviewing Hitler for reasons, but yeah, it is similar in the way that you're talking to somebody whose official slogan is death to you, and you're not even asking any tough questions on this. Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. Jonathan says Tucker is horrible. Yeah, for Tucker Carlson, I think there is no hope. For the Iranian president, there probably is no hope as well. Pretty sure I can go out on a limb and say that. I think for some people there is hope, and that hope, might be in reading The Objectivist's Guide to the Galaxy, the new book by Dr. Zol Sendis. That is the sponsor of today's show and all shows this month. Yeah, Zol Sendis. The title is obviously based on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Zol Sendis asks or answers 42 questions about the universe, about ourselves, and about the universe, and I can't say guarantee your money back, but I promise you those answers are better than you get in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe or the Galaxy or anywhere else. And by the way, this book has been out for just over 3 weeks. In the first 2 weeks, it has sold over 10,000 copies, which is a lot by almost any standard. I mean, this is in bestseller territory, I think. So yeah, make sure you pick up a copy. There is a link in the chat to the book on Amazon. Should we listen to some more Tucker?
So you have, according to news reports, withdrawn your cooperation from IAEA, the International Nuclear Regulatory Agency. And so there's, I suppose, no way for the rest of the world to know how much uranium you're enriching and to what extent, to what percentage it's being enriched. And so is there any way to verify, and would you be willing to allow other nations to verify that you are not building nuclear weapons? There have been news reports that you believe, your government believes, that the IAEA was spying on the government of Iran and passing information to Israel. Do you believe that? And if so, do you have evidence that that's true, that the world could see?
There's a way of that some softball journalists know in which you basically you completely agree with what the interviewee has to say. You want to give them the opportunity to say it, so you just repeat their line, even if it's complete propaganda, zero evidence, and you just say, "Do you really believe that?" Yes, if your starting point is the assumption that people believe what they say and mean what they say, you don't ask such a question, especially if you have 30 minutes to interview, the leader of a side in a major war that just happened and is not unlikely to be resumed at some point soon. You would think they would ask the tough questions, but again, that is a non-question. That is Tucker reiterating Iranian propaganda and then letting the president reiterate it some more. And by the way, the things you will see when the president of Iran speaks in this interview, if you go ahead and watch it, it is always turning it back to Israel. Everything is Israel's fault. Yeah, the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, is Israeli spies. Everybody's Israeli spies. By the way, there are many Israeli spies, obviously, in Iran, but there is no proof of this claim whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean, again, if you watch it, you don't learn anything. Like, there is no informational value in this interview. Like, what kind of question is, would you be willing to participate with the International Atomic Energy Agency? It was already there. They were already supposed to participate. They were already supposed to uphold it. So why are we now asking them again? Okay, we know you did develop nuclear weapons when you were not supposed to. We know we had a deal with you and you went against it. Then we gave you money for it with Biden and possibly Trump with your unfrozen funds for despite the fact that you did that. But come on, just one more time. Would you be willing to do it? So it's like incredible. And yeah, you said the sort of leading the questions. He pretty much could have said, so were there any Jews that you would like to blame everything on? Like, it's that exact type of thing. So yeah, he said news reports that that International Atomic Energy Agency is spying on the government of Iran. So I have no idea who is he even like referring to. It's like saying, I've heard somebody said there were dancing Jews on 9/11. It's like, who? Like, where did you even get that from? It's just anti-Semitic propaganda, which again, nothing new to Tucker Carlson. But yeah, all of that even requires some type of like this whole the fact that this whole interview is put as, this is what Americans want here. This is something that you want here. We are trying to basically inform people. No, this is like propaganda. Like, you're not getting anything. This is a dictator. If there was anything actually interesting revealed, they would never do so. Putin would never do an interview if he thought this could go against him. Pezeshkian wouldn't do an interview if he thought that it was going to go against him. So again, I understand Tucker Carlson is an American citizen. But at some point, with this amount of association, because these are our enemies, Russia, Iran are absolutely our enemies that America should have been at war with. Now, I don't advocate for doing something to Tucker because America is unwilling to actually declare war. But, for example, IRGC is an actual terrorist organization. If you associate with an actual terrorist organization, there are consequences for it. Now, when it comes to the president of Iran, I don't know how much hold of the IRGC he has, but the Supreme Leader has. I'm wondering if we. I don't think Tucker would ever do an interview with the Supreme Leader of Iran, but I would have never thought he would do an interview with the President of Iran.
I mean, I think he interviews who he can get, and this is who he could get. But yeah, in terms of where those news reports come from, it could be news reports on Iranian television. I mean, it definitely sounds like he was setting that up to help the Iranians, push their propaganda on Americans as he set up the whole interview. Remember, Tucker Carlson was sitting next to Trump in the convention, in the Republican convention a year ago. And Trump is an unprincipled person, which is in the way it manifests itself, in some cases, better than the people with bad principles who could be in power, and in some cases worse, and in some cases better, and then worse, and then better, depending on who the last person who spoke to Trump is. So be very afraid of what the next 3.5 years hold for all of us, because Tucker is still, he hasn't gone the way of the Elon. He is still, as far as I know, on Trump's good side, and yeah, that means that Trump could easily, where he stands right now isn't clear, but he could easily stand in a place that is much clearer and very, very bad. All right, more of the interview.
Yeah, just quickly see a report. Macron called for joint declaration to recognize Palestinian state with the UK. So, yeah, great
Yeah,
stuff.
speaking of people with bad principles, the UK is incredibly proud of the fact that Hamas, the people who live streamed themselves slaughtering every Jew they could on October 7th, is sending him love letters, as we talked about months ago. David Lammy, the despicable foreign minister of this country, a few days ago said something like, if Israel doesn't stop the war, we will take measures. I don't know what those measures are. They've already taken measures that are very specific to individuals, to organizations within Israel. They are not taking similar measures against all Palestinians. For example, the Palestinian Authority, which praised October 7th, no measures have been taken against them. But some Israeli ministers who said words that David Lammy didn't like have been sanctioned by the government. So yeah, that's Britain for you. And again, America under Trump could easily turn just as bad, if not worse. And yeah, this declaration is coming. It's I'm wondering what happens next. I mean, we've had some countries declare or recognize a Palestinian state. What does that mean? Who is the government? I mean, the government, the elected government of the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank is Hamas. Hamas won the election. That was not an election just in Gaza, as people now seem to think. That's who the Palestinians wanted then. That is most likely who the Palestinians want now, because Abbas is maybe the least popular leader anywhere, and yeah, if it's not Hamas, I think Alex mentioned something about Barghouti. I mean, Barghouti. Uh, I thought when Barghouti was we're going off on a bit of a. I mean, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but it's an important one. When Barghouti was arrested by Israel, I remember that. That was 20 plus years ago, I think. Yeah, over 20 years ago. And I thought that was a moment that Israel will live to regret, and it's a moment of shame for Israel that this murderer, this mass murderer of Jews, this Hitler wannabe who would be a Hitler if he was better at what he does and if the Jews weren't armed, unlike Europe in the previous century. This person is arrested and brought to trial instead of getting killed because it is a war. And yeah, Israel is paying the price for that now, and Barghouti will, I assume, be released at some point in the ongoing partial temporary ceasefire and continued war, which is what the Palestinians want because world leaders side with them the more they keep going. There's a reason this new ceasefire deal is for only some of the hostages and only a temporary one. Hamas does not want this war to end. There's also a reason, by the way, why they are continuing to try to take Israeli soldiers hostage. They will never end this as long as they exist. All right.
Yeah, I mean, Barghouti only tried to kill all Israelis about 20 years ago, so obviously it's no longer relevant. And yeah, I was just looking some things on Wikipedia, and I see a line. Some Israelis thought releasing Barghouti would be an excellent show of good faith in the peace process. That runs chills down my spine. The fact that, yeah.
Yeah, because if there are Palestinians who want peace, who want a two-state solution, even if that was a thing, but any type of peace where by peace I mean Jews are allowed to live in that peaceful scenario. You do not want Barghouti out. You want Barghouti dead. That is any good Palestinian. That is what they want. Uh, if such people exist, which I doubt, that is where they stand on Barghouti. And if such people exist, we are acting against them in dealing with the worst possible people on the planet, which is the representatives of the Palestinian people.
You've suggested that you were anxious to resolve your conflicts with the United States through diplomacy and that was derailed by war. Would you be willing to restart diplomacy? And could you tell us in general but precise terms the kind of deal you would be willing to accept? Do you have plans to re-enter negotiations with the United States, with Envoy Steve Witkoff or anyone else? And if not, what do you think will happen? Do you believe the Israeli government?
Yeah.
I think he goes into next thing later.
All right. Yeah. Anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's sort of similar, but there's also something new here. So, yeah, would you be willing to like go back to diplomacy again? What kind of question is that? What is diplomacy with Iran? What does that look like? Like, show me, is it like another Obama deal? Another, they get billions of funds unfrozen so they can resupply with their missiles that they try to kill Israelis with, so they can resupply their missiles, so they can send them to the Houthis, so they can arm up Hamas more, so they can revive Hezbollah or any other militia that is trying to kill Israelis and Americans for that matter. It's not just Israelis. Yeah, what is there to negotiate about? Again, there was sort of a diplomacy. Well, if we go very long back, there was recognition of Israel. There was before 79, there was relatively friendly relations with Israel, and then Iran said, "Oh, we'd rather go back to or sort of try to bring in the fashion of killing Jews as being the number one priority of this regime." This is what Iranian regime is. There is no reason for their existence otherwise. So again, asking them, would you want peace? Yes, they would want peace. They need it. They need to come back. They want a ceasefire. Well, there is a ceasefire. They want some sort of a deal so they can get their billions back, so they can rearm, so they can attack Israel and America again. I mean, Tucker goes later into some other questions about peace. But yeah, this is again, it's I don't know even what kind of person do you have to be to like ask these questions. Like it's not ignorance. It's not that he like thinks of Iran as a normal regime. It's Yeah, I mean, it's straight up just creating propaganda against America. It's truly disgusting that there are people, there are actual American citizens who are pretty much preying on the destruction of America as we know it.
Yeah. Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. Thank you, Mary, for the super chat. Mary says Carlson's only purpose is Tucker. Those stupid people cause losses without deriving personal gain. I think you're being too kind to him. I don't think he has I don't think he certainly I don't think he understands self-interest, and I don't think that's what he's pursuing. I do think he is enjoying the destruction of the good. I don't have any other way to explain what Tucker Carlson is. By the way, he has always been that for people who liked him and liked other conservative commentators before October 7th, who then uh, turned out to be anti-Israel. No, they were always bad. Candace was always bad. Candace was a race baiter when she was on the right, probably a race baiter when she was on the left. And then continued her ways. Tucker Carlson years ago on Fox News was saying that Amazon was exploiting their workers. He's used Marxist language in his supposedly right-wing advocacy. So yeah, just because somebody is not officially of the left does not make them good. And most likely, if they are as successful as Tucker Carlson, they are bad. Vered says Trump thinks Tucker Carlson is kooky. Maybe, but that's not going to prevent him from having him around and listening to him. And again, Trump remembers the last thing that the last person said to him, and if that is expressed in a way that convinces Trump, then that is going to become U.S. policy. So yeah, let's keep that in mind. And Daniel.
Yeah, Bonnie is asking if the whole interview is available, so you can just look up Tucker Carlson, Pezeshkian on YouTube, and you can find it. It's half an hour, and yeah, you also have the Pezeshkian's answers. He talks in Farsi, I assume, and yeah, it's sort of like imposed over the translator is sort of like speaking over him, which sometimes it's kind of interesting. I don't know if just the translator speaks slowly, but sometimes you have like a minute of silence from the president where the translator is like translating. So I don't know if it just takes a while or yeah, he's just talking much slower. Or maybe Farsi is a very efficient language.
It's not an easy, before, in my previous life, this was what I did, and it's not easy, and it sometimes takes time. So that's my excuse for this agent of the worst regime on the planet.
Yeah, and one thing about sort of like Tucker is, yeah, he is absolutely if somebody showed him Marxism without saying the word Marxism, he would be for it. He had Cornel West on his show where Cornel West explained his ideology. He was I think he said it something like it's about basically making the rich and powerful accountable to the poor or something like that. And Taco Karl Marxson is like, well, if that's what democratic socialism is, then I'm basically for it. So yeah, and you mentioned that other interview where yeah, he spoke out against Amazon, and of course because this guy he's no capitalist, he never was. He's anti-capitalist, he's anti-American, and only now it's shown a bit more clearly because only when principles are actually challenged, when there is actually something that needs to happen and you need to have principles for it, that's when it shows. And when America needs to fight against Iran, these people are being shown.
Well, let's show them some more.
Government tried to assassinate you. With respect, can you tell us how you know that you were an assassination target? A week and a half ago, I don't believe I've seen that confirmed anywhere. How are you certain they tried to kill you?
Okay.
Many American.
Yeah. Let's pause there. Yeah, Mr. President, if Israel wanted to assassinate you, you would not be doing this interview unless Tucker Carlson was also a target and you would be interviewed in somewhere else. Yeah, again, if I wouldn't be surprised if Israel had some sort of, I assume Israel had some sort of plan to assassinate him if need be, or if the green light is given from Washington, but it wasn't. So yeah, it's I don't know of many failed assassination attempts by Israel in Iran. Certainly not in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, my answer to the question would be I hope so. But it never has to be, helicopters fall, you never know. And yeah, absolutely, it should have happened. Now, when it comes to, at least from the latest report I've seen on the assassination of Supreme Leader, apparently, I think it was the defense minister who said that they wanted to kill him, and there simply never was sort of an opportune situation, which I mean could be true. Same could be true for our president. I don't think even president is necessarily sort of the number one sort of person to go after. I think you wipe out the IRGC command. That should always, I think, almost always be the goal. And yeah, if they took out this guy, I wouldn't be sad. I would be celebrating. If they didn't, unfortunately, but nothing would change. Tucker would just have somebody else uh, to interview.
Yeah, but we're just speculating. As we know, there are people who know this. Alex, did Israel try to assassinate the president of Iran and fail? Welcome, by the
I
way.
don't think they I don't think they failed. I think that the helicopter was pretty successful. I mean, didn't fail in my
I mean, this
opinion.
one.
Oh, this one. I mean, who knows? No, I don't think they would have failed because I think if he's alive, it's because he's weak and they want him to stay alive. That's what I think, right? We have their number, you know?
Yeah. By the way, I should learn these people's names and how to pronounce it just so we know who we're talking about. But I don't because it's complicated and it's I'm always hoping that their role is temporary and their replacement is somebody else whose name I won't remember. Anything else, Alex? I don't know if you saw what we talked about so far.
Yeah.
We're only showing the Tucker Carlson parts, because we only want the best here at ARCUK. But yeah, anything on what we've shown so far?
I mean, I kind of just think it's incredible that Tucker Carlson actually, like, the amount of cultural ignorance here is astounding. Like, he thinks, oh, this person is the president, this person is in charge. It's like they're not in charge. That's not the leader of Iran. This person is a worthless position that is beholden to a much higher entity there. And just Tucker Carlson's like, oh, Mr. President, you're the president of Iran, just like our president. It's nothing like that. This person has zero power, zero clout. They're just a, figurehead, and he's probably concerned about his, you know, keeping his neck attached to his head and spine, probably. That's a big concern for this guy. This is the way that they do things around there.
Yeah, Bonnie says, or is he alive because unconditional surrender, Trump stopped everything? Yeah, I mean, look, as much as nice as it was to hear Trump using those words, we know that everything that Trump does is some sort of negotiating tactic, and we now know that he really wants the Iranian regime to stay in power but stay weak. And that's that's not a good policy, but yeah, this is about Tucker today, not about Trump. But yeah, Trump is always in the background, and it is his fault that this was not completed. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, "Welcome back to Woke London, Razi. Thank you. I'm only here for a few more days, and then I'm back to Woke America." But yeah, took a pause for the cause so I can listen to Tucker on British soil. All right, more Tucker.
Yeah, just quickly, somebody says the heir of Swanson fortune is a Marxist. What the fuck are you smoking? I mean, again, this idea that somehow because you're rich or because you have money, you are automatically a capitalist. You should check out every single rich person in America. There's maybe a few of them who are actually support the sort of the system that is sort of the most beneficial for them. I think one of the line I really like is sort of being against your class interest is not just for the working class. The rich people do it also. Now this is a very Marxist language, but absolutely. I mean, like show me one thing of like Tucker Karl Marxon who where he sort of like praised capitalism or praised innovation or said, you know, this company is doing something good, or in a dispute between a company and some labor union, he was for that company. It's always like straight up sort of like socialism without actually using its name.
Yeah, eventually the Tucker Karl Marxon thing will catch on, I'm sure. By the way, you know who else was rich? Karl Marx himself and Engels. I think Marx was bankrolled by Engels, but still, they were very well off. So yeah, yeah, Marxists, many of them are rich. If there weren't so many among the wealthy who were Marxists, it wouldn't be such a popular ideology because somebody has to bankroll the scum on the street who do their thing.
Also, I should say Tucker Karl Marxon, I have that from Kirk Wilcox, so people should check out his channel. He also has that video of Tucker Carlson. Now I don't even know his last name of Tucker Carlson with Cornel West, so I recommend people check it out.
Americans are afraid of Iran. You say you're not afraid, but Americans are afraid of Iran. And they believe that Iran would like to strike the United States with a nuclear weapon. They see video of Iranians saying death to America, describing our country as the great Satan. What is your opinion of that? Should we be afraid of Iran?
They see video of Iranians chanting death to America. What is your opinion of that? That is the official government line. If you don't chant that to America, you're in big trouble in Iran. It's unbelievable the way he asks this. And by the way, in the answer, which you will get to enjoy if you watch the video, but I can spoil that part for you. He says something to the effect of death to America doesn't mean death to Americans. It means death to being mean or something. So that wasn't his exact words, but that was the
Yeah,
Yeah.
gist
he
of it.
said it's not even that to American officials, it's just to the bad things America is doing.
Yeah. So yeah, this is clearly Alex. This guy talks like he went to an American university, studied the
Totally
humanities. You
postmodern.
know, yeah,
Yeah,
you don't have to.
y-
What is it? What did they say back in the Black Lives Matter riot? Something like you don't have to be racist to be.
yeah,
You have to hate
yeah.
people of a race to be racist. I don't remember exactly. I
Yeah,
don't follow that closely.
yeah, it's sort of like, it's completely postmodern. It's like, yeah, I am saying death to America, but what I really mean is death to racism and, cruelty to animals. You know what I'm saying? It's just total gobbledygook. And it's really quite it's really it's a really sad indictment of Tucker and his what they think of his journalism, that they, think like, oh, this will be an easy interview. And I mean, even just that statement that he made there, the president, I mean, president of Iran, goes on to say that, that they've never tried to kill any American officials. They put a hit out on John Bolton and tried to kill him. They put a hit out on Mike Pompeo and tried to kill him. They tried to kill one of the Saudi ambassadors inside of in Washington. I mean, this is like, it's just, I mean, and Tucker's like, oh, I've never heard of it. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I guess it's
Well,
just a
John
big
Bolton
Jewish
wrote a mean book
plot.
about Trump, so he doesn't count.
Yeah, but still, it's like these but the thing is like Tucker hates Trump, you know what I mean? It's very yes, yes. You think he's doing this because he likes Trump? He's doing this because he hates him and he wants him to fail. It's very, deep baked into all of this. His whole crusade here. I mean, he didn't like him. I mean, you have the texts, right, that came out during the time of the, January 6th thing, whatever, and he's calling like he was calling Trump all kinds of names, which is fine, but it's like you're kind of pretending to you have to try to coddle the MAGA crowd. So you can't come out and just say what you think about Trump, that you hate him. So you have to do all this kind of roundabout thing, like, oh, Trump's being controlled and Trump's being led in a different direction. Like, I'm sorry, but like, I know that this is not a pro-Trump channel over here, but a lot of people have thought that they can be like the I guess like the Svengali yeah, they're like the what was the person who made Pinocchio? Geppetto, I think his name was. So he thinks like, John Bolton thought, oh, I'm going to be the puppet master to Trump. And it doesn't work. You can't be the puppet master to Trump, right? He is just kind of his own person, right? And kind of it's all very kind of you can see that a lot of the things that Trump does, he does just from pure like he's going just on, I don't know, not vibes, but like he's just going with kind of what he's feeling right at the time. And there's been a number of people who have thought, oh, I'm gonna be like Steve Bannon, another one who said, oh, I'm gonna be the puppet master behind Trump, and I'm gonna da 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 da. And it's like, so and Tucker's trying to do the same thing here. Um he's trying to turn the MAGA crowd against Trump through all of this I don't know, I can't really call it journalism because it's not journalism. It's I mean it's not.
Yeah, I have to say, if John Bolton was the puppet master behind Trump, the world would be a much better, safer place, and I would be a massive Trump supporter, or a supporter of the puppet master of Trump. But
Yeah, but the point is that I read John Bolton's book. I know you did because I saw it in your house, right? And the whole kind of theme through it is kind of like I'm gonna be the person who's gonna pull Trump through this event, and he's gonna do at the end what I say, and he doesn't, right? So it's this kind of it's the and you can understand why John Bolton got very upset by that, right? Because John Bolton is a very smart guy, but I think he started working in the I think he might have started out in the CIA, but he started working in the State Department like 40 years ago, right? He's a really, well-established veteran, and he sees this guy. He's like, "Oh, who is this game show host, right? Who does he think he is? I'm gonna be the guy behind him," and he couldn't. So it's sort of like, it's very clear that you can't control this person. um and maybe I think John Bolton actually should have played maybe a little bit of a smarter game there.
maybe I don't know what that looks like, but that's why one of the many reasons why I'm not in politics. Daniel, any thoughts? And then we'll go to the super chats, and then we'll go to some more Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, going to back to his comments again, even this type of like journalism, like many Americans are seeing some Iranians, chanting death to America. These like random Iranians like Ruhollah Khomeini, the first supreme leader of Iran, calling America Great Satan and Israel Little Satan. Like, what is this? Are seeing videos? It's the official government policy. It's actually the people. Like, would he say the same thing about if he talked about Zelensky? Would he say, some? No, he would absolutely like throw everything he could at whoever is in charge, anything he wants. So that again, like I think you mentioned it. Just people should watch the Ted Cruz interview. No, I don't think Ted Cruz came out that well, but I guess Tucker was kind of challenging in a really stupid way, asking like unimportant questions like how many people live in Iran. It's not really important, but his way of like challenging the other side, which again, it's like pure populism. It's like pure sort of like simple thing I can say to basically have my people cheer for me. So yeah, uh,
All right, let's go to the super chats. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, "Nice. Are you moving to the US? LOL. We are going to Israel in 3 days. Enjoy, Razi." Thank you. No, I'm not moving to the US. By the way, enjoy Israel. Stay safe. It is really hot on top of everything else uh, in the summer there. But yeah, no, I'm going to the US to promote the Irreplaceable Spark conference, which is happening in late October. You may have heard about it if you've been watching the channel, especially in recent days. But if you haven't, and even if you have, Daniel, do we have a video to play where somebody else will tell you why you should come to that conference, and then I will.
I've played rebels, outlaws, and gods, but nothing is more powerful than being the creator of your own life. So that's why I'm coming to the Irreplaceable Spark Conference, not just to speak, but to coach. Now, if you're ready to stop making excuses and stop bending a knee to mediocrity, I want to work with you. And this isn't for followers, okay? It's for the builders. It's for the risk takers. It's for the fire starters. And if that's you, I'll see you there.
And I want to say specifically to the people who are maybe not into objectivism, may have found this channel after October 7th, like our commentary, and that's why you watch. There is, something common behind our commentary, which is we come at it from the perspective of Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism. This conference will showcase people who have come at life, at their career, from the same perspective, from the same starting point, and have achieved tremendous success in various fields. So this is it's the conference itself will not be where you go to learn the philosophy. To do that, you should read Ayn Rand, listen to Leonard Peikoff's courses. If you want to study it further, go to the Ayn Rand University. But this is absolutely where you should go to be inspired by the people who have achieved great success because they applied Rand's ideas to their life, to their career, to their business. One such person is Jonathan Honig, who will be speaking there. Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. You know Jonathan from this channel. You may also know him from his many appearances on television from his mid-teens when he did movie reviews on PBS, but we will forgive him for his choice of station. He was a teenager, and he has been a commentator on Fox News and Fox Business ever since, or not since his mid-teens, but since shortly thereafter. So yeah, make sure you sign up for that conference. Thank you, Kenny, for the super chat. No, to the people who are asking if it's free, it is not free. It costs money. And yeah, if you want to invest in yourself, you will invest in a ticket to this conference. And if not, don't. All right, let's watch some more.
Iranian ayatollahs have issued fatwas against Donald Trump. What does that mean exactly, and what do you think of it? It wasn't that long ago, it was during the revolutionary period in Iran, that Iran had relations with Israel and commercial relations
Okay,
with
all right.
Israel.
Maybe we should, yeah, those are two different types of stupid questions. Alex, take whichever you want or both. Yeah, what do you think of that?
Is he talking about Iran Contra? Is that what he's talking about here? The Iran, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess, right? Um,
No, I assumed he was
I
talking about Iran before the revolution.
oh, okay,
I
fine. I
didn't
mean,
even think about it that way, but yeah, it could be.
yeah. I mean, okay, fine. Iran Contra wasn't a great idea. It was in the 80s. Get over it, right? It happened. It, definitely wasn't a good idea. But yeah, of course, Israel had good relations before the revolution, because, for all of the Shah's faults, he wasn't exporting a violent Shia revolution to the world. into the Middle East and didn't have a proxy war against Israel. And, you know, he was definitely a cruel dictator and not somebody who embraced democracy. But yeah, he wasn't suicidal, right? And that's the whole point of this regime, is that they believe in order to bring the Mahdi, which is their Messiah, they need to have the final show off with the final boss. And the final boss is Jacob. Okay, that's what they call the Jews, okay, which is like the sons of Jacob. So they need to have this final show off with the sons of Jacob. And then their Messiah is going to come and the world is going to be wonderful and everybody is going to submit to Islam, right? That's their goal. And I mean, yeah, they issued the fatwa against him. So what, right? It's obvious. And I don't really understand what Tucker is getting at. I don't understand I mean, this is pure taqiyya, this entire thing. This is just Islamic lying, you know, to the kuffar, right?
Yeah.
You ask a stupid question, you get a stupid answer.
Yeah, although from Tucker's perspective, it's not Takia, he's just lying because he likes it. Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, first, when it comes to fatwa, so I looked a bit more into it just to sort of like understand what it really is. And, you know, technically, some people could say, you know, maybe fatwa is just, you know, some clerks clarifying the Islamic teachings. That's sort of like some of it. And some of it is actually go and kill this guy and you'll actually be rewarded for it. So when you take that second, which absolutely what the fatwa against Trump is about, it's basically Tucker Carlson is asking, so the clerics that have a high position in your government have called for assassination of our president. What do you think of that? What kind of question is that? Like he's saying these people want to kill us, these people want to kill our president, and he's asking him as if it's like, what color do you like? It's incredibly stupid. But again, it can only come from this amount of like basically just wanting to spread propaganda. And yeah, I love that second part. It's you know, when he said Israel or Iran used to have good relations with Israel, and for a quick thing, I was wondering, okay, how far back is it going? Is it going like a few years back when there wasn't like actively like launching rockets? And then he said during the revolutionary period. Yeah, I'm wondering what happened during the revolutionary period that suddenly Iran no longer wants friendly relations with Israel. Again, it's this is like you are trying to explain like history to like kids in third grade. Like it's this basic question about, why does Iran not like Israel? What do you say? But he's asking somebody who's actually propagandist for the regime. So you're not actually even getting a good answer for those children. Well, unless it's a Iranian or Hamas school, then the answers are perfect. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Israel used to have an okay relations with Iran, and then Iran had the revolution and then put people in charge who basically want to first wipe out Israel because it's closer, and then wipe out America essentially, or die while doing so.
All right. I think there's a little bit more, right? And there's I think some of the gold is towards the end, at least in the answers, which we won't hear, but we can talk about them once we hear the questions.
Reputedly bought weapons from Israel. What happened? How did that change? Who changed it and why, that relationship? Can you imagine at the end of the diplomatic exchange with the United States, a world in which American companies invest again in Iran, sanctions are lifted, there is peace in the region? Is that your goal? And do you think it's possible? Mr. President, my final question, if we wind up in a broader war, could you expect assistance from Russia and China, military and economic assistance from your allies, Russia and China? Mr. President.
All right. Did we, was there a question about sleeper cells there that I missed at some point, Daniel? Because there was a comment by the president about sleeper cells in his answers uh, that I wrote down. And it was, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, which really reminded me of the of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad saying in Columbia University when asked about the Iranian regime executing people for the crime of homosexuality. Oh, we don't have that thing, gay people, that you have in America. Yeah, you know about the sleeper cells because you run the sleeper cells and you keep threatening everybody with those sleeper cells. And interestingly, Tucker, like I said at the beginning, there's a bunch of very good questions that he chose not to ask. I didn't hear him mention October 7th once in this whole interview. He didn't ask about Hezbollah. He didn't ask about the Houthis. He didn't ask about the collapse of the Iranian network of proxies. But he also, when it comes to the sleeper cells, he didn't ask about this attack that was thwarted in London a few months ago, a few hours before it was going to take place against the Israeli embassy in London. So, yeah, that is, Alex, that is the kind of interview you'd expect the Iranian president to have on Iranian television.
Yeah. I mean, okay, it's actually astounding. It's actually very well done if you want to really think about it, because here Tucker is doing something which is really akin to, I would say, betrayal, right? Which is just betraying his country, betraying his father's legacy as well. His father had a fine career in broadcasting and worked for Voice of America, and recently passed away. But this, Tucker's father was the CEO of the Foundation for the Freedom of Democracies, which is a pro-Israel think tank. It's a betrayal to do this, because what you're doing is you're basically doing a pro-Iranian interview in English for a MAGA audience, and trying to present it as mine is the authentic, true, pro-American TV, pro-American position. Look at this. The evil Jews are just dragging America. What does that say about America? If this pathetic, 10 million people country in the Middle East, in the middle of a desert, is able to just, Pinocchio its way, make the puppet out of the puppet, make a little puppet out of Trump, he's going to do everything I say, and oh, we're just scheming and making it all happen, and oh, America and Iran would be brilliant friends if it wasn't for all this Israeli meddling. I mean, it's just really absolute, it's just fantasy. But I mean, it's, I didn't, I mean, I understood that Tucker would be completely capable of doing something like this, but it's a very short-term career move, I would say, because people eventually were just gonna, I mean, it was kind of interesting, I thought, when he did before I watched it, the interview with Putin, because, a hard-hitting interview with Putin, like the, Charlie Rose with Bashar al-Assad interview, it would be a very interesting thing to watch. It would be great. I think it would really be capable of conveying some key messages to the American people about, who it is that we're sitting down in front of us. But instead, just to sit down and softball all these questions, like you're interviewing Britney Spears about her latest single. You know what I mean? Like, tell me more about the time you wrote Baby One More Time. And is it true that you're born in Louisiana? I mean, just dumb questions, right? And also they're all leading questions. If Tucker was a lawyer, right, the other side would be going, objection, leading the witness, it's just, he's trying to pull the answers out of the Iranian president by asking these leading questions, right? Like, oh, isn't it true that you really don't want to be enemies of the United States of America? Isn't it true that you really just want to be our friend? Isn't it true? Like, why not let the guy speak? I think if you let him speak, just ask him a straight up question, he will give you a straight up answer. At the end, he has to answer to his violent extremist base. Okay, the president doesn't have a base, but you know what I mean. He has to answer to the people internally in Iran. So he is going to probably give like a straight up answer, I think, at least.
Just so that we're not accused of misinformation, Alex, you're not actually claiming that Britney Spears wrote "Baby One More Time," right? Because
No. I would never do that. I would never do that.
Daniel.
Well, first, somebody in the chat says his career he already got cancelled once. If he's referring to Tucker, Tucker didn't get cancelled. Tucker got fired for lying on television that Fox News had to pay $1 billion in settlement. This is not, well, I guess technically he got cancelled. He knowingly lied about election fraud. That's what he was fired from Fox News from. And I wish his career actually ended, but with the way especially conspiracism is right now, whenever you get whenever something happens to you for lying, that actually makes you more popular among that kind of crowd, which is very unfortunate. And yeah, I mean, I can add one more thing about and this whole time in the chat somebody is talking about Jews controlling America, which again, something funny that reminded me of is always JFK is like the anti-Israeli. There was the one president that was like anti-Israel, so they had to kill him, right? That's the conspiracy. And one thing I've seen is like, JFK was the only president who didn't visit the Western Wall. When JFK was president, Israel was not in control of the Western Wall. So just a sort of like a funny thing to even say.
His brother was assassinated by a pro-Palestinian for being so pro-Israel. I mean, literally, these people are so stupid. Again, oh, it's like it's again, people also genuinely don't understand the way that intelligence agencies work, is that there's always especially in Western countries, there's always going to be an administrative trail. Okay, everything that they do has to go through checks and other people's checks, and they get the lawyers involved, and they get all of the. We saw with the cyber attack on the Iranian nuclear facility, there was a literal trail of approvals and lawyers' notes, and everybody had their hands in it, because that's how things work. That's why, again, like when the French bombed that Greenpeace boat, the Rainbow Warrior, in the 1980s, the thing that rumbled them was themselves, because they had an actual, dossier filled with all of the documents and all of the various people's approvals, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of this. That is the way that it goes. So, if it hasn't come out by now that they decided, what would be really funny if we shot President Kennedy? Why don't we just go ahead and do it? It's just, if it hasn't come out by now, it didn't happen. Okay, honestly.
Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, my mom met JFK in 1961. He told her he'd love to visit Israel. He was a good guy. Can agree to disagree on that, and maybe talk about the last part of that, and maybe talk about that.
Well, maybe recommend an essay. I think it's called The New Fascist Frontier. Is that the one I'm thinking of, where Ayn Rand talks about JFK? So people can check that out.
The whole family actually is seriously troubled. All of them.
Yeah.
People talk about we can maybe do an episode on it, because I just read a book by a normal person, a normal journalist, on the family, and there's no curse. It's them. They're the curse. They're doing this to themselves, with their reckless way of living.
Oh, by the way, it's the fascist new frontier, not the new fascist frontier.
we've done a bunch of Kennedy episodes, but they were all about the currently relevant Kennedy. But yeah, maybe
He's
someday.
actually the best one. I mean, really, I mean, besides him,
That's terrifying.
with him, besides all of the affairs and the wife who's an alcoholic and whatever, and this, oh no, sorry, abandoning the first wife to go out to marry the woman from Curb Your Enthusiasm, leaving her with nothing. She then committed suicide, and he dug her up and moved her body to another place on the Kennedy plot. You know, and that he's the nicest Kennedy. He really is.
He's
That's
also an anti-vaxxer who wants to over-regulate, even regulate even more the some parts of the food industry in America.
he,
Yeah, but
yeah,
again,
but come on, Razzie. He didn't leave a dying woman in a crashed vehicle to suffocate while he went back home and slept for the night. Do you know what I mean? Like this is a family of
yeah,
you know,
but his
you're
his
like
the threat that he poses to America. Maybe we'll do a whole
we'll
debate one
do it.
day. Who is the
We
worst
have to debate
Kennedy?
this.
Um, by the way, the former troll in the chat, who then became Daniel's biggest fan and my personal troll to the point that I no longer read what he has to say, managed to troll me enough that I'm gonna read what he has to say. He says, Razi, your boss has a strong personality, and I think he's referring here. Based on his other comments to Yaron Brook. I'm a huge fan of Yaron Brook, but you know, I was watching Moneyball, rewatching Moneyball yesterday, only the second time in the last month, so not I don't watch it too much. Um, there was this scene, you know, when all the different scouts are upset with Billy Beane for the new direction that he's taken the Oakland A's, and one of them then stops and says, "Look, guys, we're here to advise him, but he only answers to ownership and God." And at ARCUK, I am ownership, and there is no God. So yeah, I am the boss when it comes to the Ayn Rand Center UK. But I appreciate, on behalf of your own, I appreciate the compliment nonetheless. Thank you, PC, for another super chat. PC says, Razi, the reason JFK was removed was he planned to end the Vietnam War. All right. Alex?
I don't know. I don't know what to say. Um, um, I mean, it, the whole JFK thing, it's so obvious that he was killed by a guy who was a Cuban operative, and the reason that it's kind of like the Yitzhak Rabin thing. I just want to say it's like the reason that there's so many conspiracies that are surrounding the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin is because the after he was killed, the Shabak tried to hide their incompetence. You know, like the prime minister has been killed, right? You guys have screwed up, and they try to kind of, you know, hide their incompetence, right, from and all of the things that they did wrong, from the Israeli people, which created this kind of, you know, air of conspiracy around it, right? And that's kind of the same thing with, I think, with Kennedy, is that, you know, there was this guy who was an obvious threat, who was a Cuban operative, who had lived in the former Soviet Union, who'd lived in the Soviet Union as a defector, and he fell through the FBI's net, and then they kind of didn't want to tell people about it. So that's why the conspiracies exist. And it's kind of, if they just had been honest, I think, in these two instances from the beginning, it actually would have been extremely cathartic for the Israeli and the American people.
Daniel, parting
Just my
thoughts?
opinion.
Yeah, I mean, just so people remember, last year the president of the United States, well, the candidate for the president of the United States, almost got killed. That's happened in 2024 in 21st century because of the incompetence of people who are supposed to take care of this. So yeah, usually all of this can be done to incompetence. It actually reminds me, somebody tried to kill Prime Minister of Slovakia. I think it was around the time, so also last year. And the Secret Service, or we don't call it Secret Service, but the people who were supposed to protect the Prime Minister investigated it and said nothing was done wrong. By the way, the guy was shot about 4 times, and they came out with the idea that everything was done according to protocol. So, yeah, the government is not necessarily competent even in the things that they are supposed to be competent in.
Yeah, and so many conspiracy theories are kind of assuming the government is way more competent than we can see, and that's why they somehow get away with it. Anyway, Alex, parting thoughts, anything to promote?
Actually, since we're talking about Yigal Amir and the Shabak, there's actually a really great book that has been written on this. It's not by Ronen Bergman, although, he does obviously have good sources, I think. I'm the name is escaping me right now. And it's answering really to Deborah in the chat's question about whether or not Yigal Amir had a Shabak handler. Yes, he did have a Shabak handler, but that was because he was living he was hanging out with people from Kiryat Arba, and they had agents that were embedded inside of that community. And they really didn't take them very seriously. Yigal Amir did confess before the event to this Shabak handler, who was, codenamed Champagne, who was his real name was Avishai. Again, this is the incompetence, classic incompetence, right? I really don't think there's any funny business here. This is just, they didn't take the threat seriously, because I remember back at the time of 1995, everybody was saying these things about the prime minister. It was Oslo time. People were very unhappy with him. It's like, imagine if you went to jail every time some idiot says, "Oh, I want to kill Trump." It's just stupid. Okay, that's the reason I suggest reading the book, which I will remember and put in the chat. I recommend ARCUK. And also, I just want to say something to Razi's point about Ayn Rand and objectivism. So for me, my kind of feeling is that the thing, I think women and men might pull different things out of objectivism that are a bit different. And for me, I really feel like um it really is a philosophy that can give you a tremendous amount of self-esteem, and it really kind of can communicate the importance of human innovation, and it does give you a lot of inspiration into your own capabilities as as a thinking, breathing human in the world, and a tremendous amount of optimism. So also just wanted to recommend everything that Razi's promoting here.
Well said, and I agree, and thank you for that. And yeah, reading Rand will give you that inspiration, and seeing the people who have read her and then lived it and have been successful doing so will absolutely give you that inspiration. Thank you, Akira, for being a member of the YouTube channel for 13 months. Akira says, thoughts on 20 years since July 7th, Razi. Yeah, yeah. First of all, sorry we missed a July 7th episode, although it was going to be on a different topic. If had I been on, which I probably wouldn't have, but we would have commented on this. But yeah, in the UK there were ceremonies, and that's great. It's great to remember, to have memorials, to be sad, but the ideology behind the 7/7 bombings is so alive and well, even way more so today in the UK, in London, the city where it happened, than it was back then. And criticizing it is still frowned upon. And it's not just frowned upon in the sense of, criticizing an ideology that somehow you shouldn't criticize. It's frowned upon and dismissed as racism or bigotry. So yeah, it's very unfortunate, because what never again should mean when we look at 9/11, when we look at 7/7, when we look at October 7th, is never again will we allow these people to apply their ideology in this way on us. And unfortunately, we are allowing it. We are negotiating with them. We are begging them. We are having them speak to an audience of millions on in America through interviews like what Tucker Carlson did. So yeah, we the memorials mean nothing if you refuse to name the enemy, identify them, declare war on them, and defeat them, which we are not, unfortunately, willing to do. On that note, that is not how I wanted to end the show, but actually, I will say that, Daniel, do we have a session at 8 of the Constitution course? Not today, okay, but we do have them on Thursdays, and you can access them if you are a uh, Reardon Medal or Midas Mulligan member through the website, or if you're an Inner Circle member on YouTube, which you can easily sign up for right now. Yeah, you may have noticed we are selling more stuff than we used to, and we will continue to do that. Yeah, we are a for-profit, and we're going to be a for-profit, not in name only. So make sure you, yeah, that is a sticker that we aren't selling, but we are offering. That doesn't make sense because it says for profit. Maybe we should reconsider that policy. But yeah, so yeah, buy all the things that we're selling. They're all very good. And make sure you join us again tomorrow for the Daily Objective, which is free. So you can watch it without buying anything. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Daniel. We'll see you back here tomorrow.